Now, you might be wondering why so many athletes and so many people are taping their mouth shut when they sleep and using nasal-only methods when they train and exercise. Actually, it's quite simple. These people are looking at ways to optimize their health and performance. Whether that means using the latest sports science methods to train as optimally as possible, or using recovery methods to get more improved adaptations from their training, or using nutrition and supplements to drive more health and performance. The reason many athletes and people are taping their mouth shut to sleep and train is because of two reasons. Firstly, there is a ton of evidence to support its use for improving health and performance by improving sleep quality, which improving sleep can help improve focus and productivity, help lower cardiovascular risk factors and neurological disorders such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease, but it also helps health and performance by lowering body fat, increasing muscle mass, decreasing reaction time, and making people overall more happy and less irritable. Who doesn't want that? And secondly, breathing through your nose is as natural as it should be. It's actually the main mechanism of our breathing mechanics. Day to day, you're probably using your nose to breathe. However, most likely when you sleep, you're breathing through your mouth. And actually, in fact, evidence suggests that between 25 up to 50% of the world's population are mouth breathers when they sleep, which is a big problem that can lead to neurological disorders, respiratory issues, snoring, metabolic disorders. And what's crazy about mouth breathing is that it can even change the structure of your face. And obviously you may not know if you're a mouth breather when you sleep because you're sleeping, but some of the signs are, yes, snoring and dry mouth. Waking up with a dry mouth is a clear indication that you are laying asleep with your mouth open. And if you do have a breathing problem when you sleep, you're robbing yourself of oxygen. The nose is really important to breathe with. First of all, it increases your oxygen uptake by 20%. It dehumidifies your air and it filters your air. And when you breathe with your nose, your paranasal sinuses release nitric oxide, which is a vasodilator which plays an essential role in oxygen delivery. And it plays a massive role in a good healthy immune system by fighting off bacteria, viruses, and pathogens. So when you are mouth breathing, whether that's in your sleep or if you do some light activity like the gardening or you train quite low intensity, zone 1, zone 2 cardio, what you're actually doing is offloading CO2. And the offloading of that CO2 creates a constriction in your circulation. So you might be getting more air into your body by mouth breathing, but you're actually not getting as much oxygen into the body. So in my opinion, if you're someone that is waking up with a dry mouth or you are snoring at the moment and maybe you haven't yet developed sleep apnea, chances are you probably will in the future. And if you are living with obstructive sleep apnea at the moment, you got to give this a crack because there are several studies that suggest you can cut your sleep apnea down by 50%, which makes total sense because the sleep apnea machines, all they're actually doing is helping you get oxygen in and carbon dioxide out by opening up your airways. And that's actually what your nose does naturally. It allows and encourages this exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen. However, just like any muscle, any organ, if you don't use it, you lose it. And there are some people that if they don't use their nose to breathe, the airways become even smaller and they close up fully. And the reverse is true. If you start introducing nasal-only breathing, those airways will slowly over time open up even more. So yeah, the evidence is pretty clear. We should be trying to breathe out of our noses as much as we can throughout the day and when we sleep. And considering that we sleep on average 8 hours a night, and we may live to say 90 years old, that's 30 years of your life you're going to spend sleeping and breathing through your nose, or maybe not. So it's really important that you not only just work on your sleep quality and quantity, but making sure that your breathing mechanics are optimized so that you can live a good, long, healthy life and then potentially live to 90 years old. So let's get stuck into the training side of things. I've personally used nasal-only breathing with myself and with my athletes since about 2017. The first time I ever saw it was the Australian rugby national team. They were using it in preparation for a competition. They had their athletes running, doing cardio work, mouths taped. And why were they doing that? Well, it's quite simple. Turns out it makes training suck. Similarly to how taping the mouth when you sleep works, it does kind of the same thing. It increases oxygen uptake, improves oxygen efficiency, and over time, as your body adapts, it will reduce fatigue among everything else. However, the secret to using it when you train is not to use nasal only breathing or mouth taping when you use high intensity. So if you're doing heavy squats, heavy weightlifting exercises, that's what the Valsalva maneuver is for, which is another topic. It's a breathing technique to help you brace and produce more force and power. What you want to be using nasal only breathing for is those lower intensity zones. Zone 1, Zone 2, and Zone 3 cardio. Now, Zone 2 refers to light cardio done for extended periods of time. Heart rate zones should sit around 65% of heart rate max. You should be able to hold a conversation, but in this case, obviously not, because your mouth's going to be taped. This zone will improve general endurance, your body will get better at oxidizing fat, and your muscular endurance, your muscular fitness will increase along with your capillary density. It's recommended to hit this Zone 2 cardio 2 to 3 times a week, anywhere between 45 and 60 minutes. Then if you're a little bit more experienced and a little bit fitter, then you can try using nasal only breathing in Zone 3. Zone 3 is between 70 to 80% of your max heart rate, considered the moderate zone. This zone is especially effective for improving the efficiency of blood circulation in the heart and skeletal muscles. This is the zone where lactic acid can build up in the bloodstream. This zone makes your moderate efforts easier and improves overall efficiency. Now, I used to believe that nasal only breathing shouldn't be used at higher intensities than Zone 2. However, I've changed my stance on that. I've been doing 5Ks once a week for the last few weeks, and I've been practicing nasal only breathing. And when I look at my wearable data, I can see that I'm in that Zone 3 cardiovascular intensity zone. However, I've made some really good positive adaptations. My resting heart rate has lowered, my HRV has increased, and my overall sleep quality has dramatically improved. So training in Zone 3, nasal only, very, very difficult. However, if you're brave, you're intermediate, certainly give it a crack. Now, for overall health and performance, it's really important that we have a good carbon dioxide tolerance. And if you don't, then you're certainly living suboptimally. A simple way to test your carbon dioxide tolerance is to take a nice deep breath in through your nose and then exhale out from your nose as slow as possible. Now, if you can only last 20 seconds, that's absolute shithouse. You are not in good health. The gold standard should be at least 60 seconds. And now if you're an intermediate sportsman, athlete, high rocks athlete, runner, you weight train, you should be able to get to 60 seconds. If not, you definitely need to work on it. Now, there are many ways to improve this carbon dioxide tolerance, but the two methods I've gone through today are probably the simplest ways to do so. First one, mouth tape when you sleep. And the second one, do nasal only breathing when you do some Zone 2, Zone 3 cardio. Not only will this improve your health, your sleep, and your overall performance, but it will really aid your recovery and your restoration. And that makes total sense, because if you do nasal only breathing when you train, you're going to be working a lot harder at the same intensity, and uptake of oxygen goes up by 20% as well. Guys, you may have heard of a system in your body called the autonomic system. Funny enough, it's not as automatic as we think now. We can actually control it, and we can control it by using nasal only breathing. Now, what we can do when we do nasal only breathing is that we can help lower the sympathetic side of things and increase the parasympathetic side of things. And that's your rest and digest side. Now, nasal only breathing is super important if you suffer with anxiety, if you struggle to fall asleep, or if you struggle to stay asleep, if you have high blood pressure and hypertension, if you do lots of training volume and heavy intensity based weights. Really important that you train and increase this parasympathetic state. And guys, I just want to say, if any of you have hypertension and high blood pressure, it's really important that you practice this stuff. 46% of adults across the world have high blood pressure and are unaware that they even have the condition. For those that are aware of their high blood pressure, only 1 in 5, 21% of them have it under control, which I have seen in my practice. I've had people come in to train with me that are on medication, they've been on medication for years for hypertension, high blood pressure. When I check their blood pressure, they're still high, they're still elevated. So the drugs are making them lower their blood pressure, but in the reality of things, they're still very, very high. If that's you, really important that you do regular testing on your blood pressure. And if your blood pressure is high, definitely introduce nasal only breathing with your sleep and with your low intensity exercise. By practicing more nasal only breathing, it's going to allow you to breathe more efficiently, increase oxygen uptake, and reduce fatigue. Why wouldn't you want to do these things? Why wouldn't you want to use your breathing natural mechanism? Guys, I regularly practice nasal only breathing with my training, my zone 2, my zone 3 cardio. For the next 30 days, however, I'm gonna be using it for when I sleep. I'm gonna tape my mouth and see how I go with my sleeping quality. So I'm gonna track some wearable data and see if my sleep improves. Now, I'm already a good sleeper, but I don't wanna leave any stone unturned. I wanna see if I can optimize my sleep even more, feel more productive, more energized, and train even better. I'm going to be sharing that experience with you once it's all done. Thanks for watching. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed watching this content. And if you have any experience doing nasal only breathing when you sleep or when you train, I'd love to know in the comment section below. Other than that, thanks.